You are here. That is enough. Whatever you carried into today, set it on the floor beside the bed. Whatever you carried into the last hour, set that down too. The room you are about to enter does not need any of it. There is a hallway inside you tonight. Long, cool, soft underfoot. At the far end of it, a great room. And lining the walls of that room, 50 doors. Behind each door, a different version of you. Some of them have already done what you are still trying to do. Some have already become who you are slowly becoming. Some are waiting for you, and have been waiting longer than you know. Tonight, you will meet one of them. Before you walk down the hallway, breathe in slowly. Out slowly. Again. In slowly. Out slowly. This practice asks you to believe nothing. Whoever you understand to be in this room with you, God, the saints, your ancestors, your higher self, your future self, your unconscious mind, the universe, the part of your brain that imagines, or simply you, talking to yourself. They are welcome here. The mechanism is yours to choose. The practice is the same. You may close your eyes now if they are not already closed. You may set your screen face down if it is not already down. The room does not need light. The room does not need anyone watching. It only needs you. The hallway is real enough now to walk. Each step, unhurried. Each breath, a little slower than the last. The walls of the hallway are warm to the touch. The floor is soft. Dark stone, polished wood. You may choose, but it is not important. The ceiling is high, and arches softly upward. At the end of the hallway, the great room opens. You step inside. Around you, 50 doors. You do not need to count them. You do not need to find them all. On some nights, you will only see a few. On some nights, you will see them all at once. On some nights, only one will be lit. Tonight, one of them is calling. Let the pull come to you. Do not search for it. You are drawn to a door. This door is on the left side of the room, near the far corner. The light beneath it is quiet, steady, older than the ones you have passed. You may have walked past it many times without seeing it. It does not demand to be seen. Tonight you see it. There is no symbol on the door. No name carved into it. No instructions. But you know what this door is. This is the door of the self, who does not argue anymore. You may feel something rise as you read those words. That is all right. You may feel relief. You may feel longing. You may feel something like exhaustion finally given a name. You may think of the conversations that have cost you. The arguments that went nowhere. The relationships broken over words that should have stayed unspoken. The voice inside your chest that has been preparing its defense when it should have been resting. You do not have to do anything with it. You only have to walk through this door. The self on the other side will do the rest. Behind this door is the version of you who has learned the difference between being right and being free. They have made their peace with disagreement. They have learned that they do not need to win every conversation. That the other person is allowed to be wrong without your correction. That you can be certain and still be silent. You may take your hand to the door now. The wood is warm. The handle turns. Step through. The room beyond the door is small and simple. There is a single chair across from another chair. A low table between them. A single candle on the table, though the room does not need its light. The walls are warm. Not bright. Not dark. Warm. There are no clocks. There is no ceiling, exactly. Only the suggestion of one. Soft and high and forgiving. In the chair across from yours, the version of you waiting. You sit down. Witness them first. That is the rule of every room in the council. Before words. Before questions. Before anything at all. Witness them. Notice how they are sitting. Their posture is at ease. Not stiff. Not performing strength. Simply resting in their spine. Notice their hands. They are resting on the table or in their lap. Open. The hands of someone who has nothing left to prove. Notice their breathing. Slow. Deep. The kind of breath that belongs to someone who has learned to let small things be small. Notice their eyes. They are looking at you with no agenda. No need to convince you of anything. No score being kept. The eyes of someone who has finally understood that arguing with you does not make them more right. It only makes them tired. Notice their face. The same face you have. The same lines and marks. But something in it has quieted. It is not a blank quiet. It is the quiet of someone who has fought the same battles and chosen, finally, to stop. Notice that they are not preparing a response to something you have not said. They are not waiting for an opening to deliver a point. They are simply present, with the argument already over. Now you may breathe with them. In, slowly. Out, slowly. In, slowly. Out, slowly. The room is patient. You are not late. You did not arrive too early. You are here at the exact moment you were supposed to arrive. When you are ready, and only when you are ready, they will speak. I want to start with something you need to hear. You have been exhausted for a long time. Not from the arguments themselves. From the arguing. From the rehearsal. From the planning what you will say next time. From the night conversations that happen only in your head. From the way you prove your point to people who are not even in the room. I am here to tell you that you can stop now. The argument is over. I know that the other person may not agree it is over. I know that there may still be things unsaid, things you feel they need to understand, things you would do differently if you could go back. But I am telling you what I learned. The argument is over in you. And that is the only argument you ever needed to win. Let me tell you what I discovered. Most of the words I spent defending myself were never reaching the person I was defending against. They were reaching the version of them that lived inside my head. The imaginary version that could be proved wrong, if only I found the right words. If only I explained it one more time. If only I made them understand. That version of them did not exist. The real person had stopped listening to me years ago. But I was still constructing elaborate arguments in the shower. I was still finishing conversations in my head while walking. I was still rehearsing speeches they would never hear. The energy it took to do that. You cannot imagine it until you stop doing it. And then you realize how much of your life was being lived inside an argument that had already ended in the real world. It only continued because I kept reviving it. Here is what I want you to understand about being right. You can be right and still be wrong. You can have the facts on your side and still be destroying something good with them. You can be factually correct and relationally devastating. There is a kind of rightness that ends conversations. And there is a kind of rightness that ends relationships. I learned the difference. Let me say this plainly. There are arguments worth having. If someone is hurting you, you should say it. If someone is crossing a boundary, you should name it. If someone is wrong and the wrongness affects you, you are allowed to speak. But here is what I discovered. Those arguments are rare. Most arguments are not about truth. They are about territory. They are about not being the one who is dismissed. They are about proving that your experience is real and your hurt is valid and your way of seeing things matters. But you already know all of that. You do not need the other person to agree with you for it to be true. This is the hardest thing I learned. Your rightness does not depend on their acknowledgement. Your experience does not become less real because they did not witness it the way you did. Your pain is not made up if they do not understand it. Your perspective is valid even if they think you are wrong. You have been fighting for acknowledgement from someone who may never give it. And in the fighting, you have been abandoning yourself. Let me tell you what changed for me. I was in a conversation. A disagreement about something small. I could feel the pattern starting. The adrenaline. The gathering of evidence. The feeling that if I just said the next right thing, they would finally get it. And I stopped. I just stopped. I said nothing. I let the silence sit there. And in that silence, I noticed something. I noticed my shoulders were up by my ears. I noticed my hands were clenched. I noticed my stomach was tight, and my jaw was locked and I was barely breathing. And I thought, this is what I choose. This. The other person could go on thinking I was wrong forever. I could argue about it for another 10 years. I could gather evidence and rehearse and plan and wait for the next opening to prove myself. But I would be doing it from a body that was in distress. I would be doing it from a self that was already half gone. So I stopped. I did not say I was sorry. I did not say they were right. I said nothing at all. I just let the matter close. And what I discovered was that I had been getting something from the argument. Power. Control. The feeling that I was being heard. But when I stopped needing those things from them, I realized I could get them from myself. This is not about being weak. Let me be very clear about this. There is strength in standing up. There is strength in saying no. There is strength in defending what you believe. But there is also strength in knowing when a conversation cannot be won, and choosing not to waste your life in it. There is strength in saying nothing and walking away whole. There is strength in your silence when it comes from peace, not from fear. Not from swallowed words. Not from things left unsaid that will fester. But from the clarity that the argument is over. Some of you listening have been arguing with the same person for decades. In their face when you see them. In your head when you do not. You have become very good at arguing. You have learned every point. You can see their response before they open their mouth. You are exhausted. I am here to tell you that you can stop. Not because you lost. Not because they won. But because the match is over. Let me tell you what happens when you stop arguing. At first, you will feel guilty. Some part of you will say, if you stop fighting, you are letting them win. You are accepting defeat. You are abandoning the argument. That part of you is afraid. That part of you is the version that learned long ago that if you do not fight, you will be crushed. If you do not argue, you will be dismissed. If you do not prove yourself, you will not be seen. I want to speak to that part of you now. You are allowed to be seen without fighting for it. You do not have to prove your worth in every conversation. You do not have to win an argument to be right. You can simply walk away, knowing what you know, and that is enough. Here is what happens in your body when you stop arguing. Your jaw unclenches. Your shoulders drop away from your ears. Your breath deepens without you noticing. Your stomach settles. Your hands open. The body has been in a state of readiness for a long time. Ready for the next argument. Ready to defend. Ready to pounce. When you finally release it, the body sighs. And here is what happens in your relationships. Something shifts. Not always immediately, but over time. When you stop arguing about who is right, a different kind of conversation becomes possible. Not a conversation where you agree, but a conversation where both of you get to exist without being constantly corrected. Some relationships will deepen. Some will quietly end. Some will simply become less charged, less exhausting. All of those are okay. Let me tell you about the handful of arguments that are worth having. There are arguments that protect something precious. Your safety. Your child's safety. Your boundary that cannot be crossed. You will know them because they matter in a different way. They are not about being right. They are about being protected. There are arguments that call someone back to their own values. When someone you love is living in a way that contradicts who they know themselves to be. Sometimes a conversation from love can redirect them. You will know them because they do not come from anger. They come from care for who they could be. There are arguments that are necessary for change. When a system is broken. When something needs to be named that everyone is pretending not to see. When truth-telling is the only way forward. You will know them because the stakes are real and the truth is clear, and you cannot live with yourself if you stay silent. Most other arguments are not worth your breath. Most arguments are really just ego territory wars. Someone needs to not be wrong. Someone needs to have their perspective validated. Someone needs to win. And if you give them the win, something in you dies a little. But if you fight for it, something in both of you dies. So you can let them have it. You can let them be right, and still know you are not wrong. You can let them tell the story their way while you tell it a different way in the privacy of your own mind. You do not need them to agree in order for the truth to stand. Let me tell you about the peace that comes after. It is not the peace of winning. It is quieter than that. It is the peace of knowing that your mind is no longer a courtroom. That you are not prosecutor and defendant and judge all at once, trying the same case over and over. Your mind becomes a place you want to be again. You can think without an argument playing underneath. You can sit without your thoughts going to the next thing you should have said. You can drive without rehearsing. You can lie in bed and actually sleep. That peace is available to you. Let me say something about listening without needing to respond. There is a great power in hearing what someone is saying and not immediately countering it. You do not have to agree. You do not have to make it okay. You do not have to even believe them. But you can listen. And in that listening, something changes. The person being heard is less defensive. They soften a little. They might even start to hear themselves differently. Not because you agreed with them, but because for once, they were heard without being immediately fought. Here is the thing about other people being wrong. They are allowed to be. You can know something they do not. You can understand something they have not figured out. You can be right, and they can be wrong, and you do not have to fix that. In fact, trying to fix it is what costs you most. You can let people be wrong. It is a radical act. It is also the most peaceful thing you can do for yourself and for them. Let me tell you about the people who need you to be wrong in order for them to be right. These people exist. They cannot hear what you are saying, because they are too busy waiting for you to admit you were wrong. You do not have to give them that. Not even if they ask. Not even if they get angry. Not even if they leave. Some people are not looking for truth. They are looking for victory. And you cannot win with someone like that, because they have already decided the only good outcome is one where you lose. You can choose not to play. Here is something I learned about being unbothered. It is not that nothing bothers you. It is that what bothers you no longer becomes your whole identity. Someone thinks you are wrong. Okay. You think they are too. You can both be true. Someone criticizes you. Okay. People criticize. You do not have to prove them wrong. Someone disagrees. Okay. Not everyone will see it your way. And none of that requires you to argue. Now let me say something about the arguments you started that you wish you could take back. The harsh words. The accusations. The moment you knew you were going too far and could not stop yourself. The times you argued from a place of fear and called it righteousness. You were not wrong to feel what you felt. But you were maybe wrong in how you said it. And I want you to know, from the version of you that has lived past this, you can forgive yourself for that too. The arguments you should have walked away from are the ones that taught you the most. The ones where you fought for something that did not matter. Where you spent your currency on someone who was not worth it. Where you proved your point at the cost of your peace. You were learning. Now you know better. Now let me say something to those of you who were taught that being quiet means being weak. That if you do not argue, you will be run over. If you do not fight, you will be forgotten. I was taught this too. I learned it was not true. The people who respect you do not respect you, because you argued them into respect. They respect you, because you know your own mind and you do not need them to validate it. The people who want you are not attracted to your ability to fight. They are attracted to your peace. And the people who would leave if you stopped arguing were probably going to leave anyway. They needed you small and defensive, and always proving yourself. Your peace might lose you those people. And that is okay. I want to tell you what it feels like to be the version of me that does not argue anymore. It feels like waking up from a long argument and realizing the sun came up anyway. It feels like your body belongs to you again, instead of being a weapon you are wielding in a war. It feels like being able to be in a room with someone and not prepare your defense the moment the door opens. It feels like having your mind back. It feels like knowing that disagreement is not danger. That someone can see the world differently than you do, and you are both okay. That you do not have to spend the next 10 minutes, or 10 years proving that your way of seeing it was right. It is the most peaceful thing I have ever known. There is one more thing I want to say before you sleep. The version of you that needs to win every argument is younger than this version. That version made a decision a long time ago. When someone was not listening. When someone did not believe you. When being right was the only way to survive a situation where you were not being heard. That version served you. That version kept you alive. Kept you seen. Kept you from disappearing. I want you to know that you can still be alive. You can still be seen. You can still matter. Without the argument. You can put down the need to win. Not all at once. Slowly. One conversation at a time. Tonight, you can practice it here. You can sit with me and you can feel what it is like to be in the presence of someone and have nothing to prove. Your body will remember. I can see that you are starting to understand. There is something in your shoulders that is different than it was when you entered. They have dropped a little. The argument that followed you into this room is loosening. You do not have to hold it so tightly. Let it rest here with me. For tonight, the argument is over. In the morning, you may pick it back up if you need to. But I suspect you will not need to. I suspect you will notice something different. The way a conversation that would have started an argument now slides past you without catching. The way someone else being wrong stops feeling like it is your job to fix. The way you can hear criticism and not immediately prepare your defense. These are small things. These are everything. The self across from you is still there. Still looking at you with no agenda. No need for you to agree. No requirement that you become them immediately. Simply patient. Before you leave the room tonight, there is one small thing. You may stand, slowly. Or you may stay seated. The self across from you stands as well. Or doesn't. Mirroring you. You face one another. They place a hand, gently, on your chest. Where the defending has been living. Where you have been holding your ground. Where the heart that wanted to argue is still beating. It is warm. It does not grip. It does not extract. It simply rests there for a moment, the way warm water rests on cold skin. Then they say, very quietly, you are allowed to be at ease. You are released. The hand remains for one more breath. Then it lifts away. And in its place, warmth. A soft, settled warmth, the size of a coin or a small stone. That did not exist before they touched you, and will not leave when you wake. You may step back from them now. You may turn slowly. The door behind you is open. Walk through. Do not look back at the room. The room will be there tomorrow. The self will be there tomorrow. For tonight, you have done enough. The hallway opens around you. It is darker now than when you came in. That is correct. The hallway is making room for sleep. You may walk a few steps, and then stop walking. You may simply stand in the hallway. Or you may continue, and the hallway will gently dissolve around you. There is no wrong way to leave a council room. Wherever you find yourself now, bed, chair, floor, the soft place between waking and sleeping, stay there. The work is done. Tomorrow you may notice that something is quieter. A conversation that would have sparked a debate may just pass by. A criticism that would have made you defend may simply roll off. A disagreement that would have cost you sleep may feel small enough to leave alone. You may not name it. You may not connect it to tonight. That is all right. The self in the room is not seeking credit. Sleep is welcome here. You are at ease. You are listening. You are unbothered. You are home. You are free.